Hello everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel, George from LGW3 Orchids and Exotics. So today I wanted to do a quick video on the AeroGarden. These are pretty common, can be found all over Walmart, Kohl's if you're in the US. I'm sure there's other places, probably Target. Really easy to set up, it's pretty functional. You know, the real reason I got this was because I wanted to do an herb garden, and I know some people do the herb gardens outside. For me, it's not always practical because I'm thinking to myself, okay, where am I going to store this thing in the winter time? Sure, I could probably throw it in the basement greenhouse or just outside of there, but it's not as easily accessible, especially when you want to go ahead and you're cooking here in the kitchen. You want to snip some quick herbs, whether it's parsley, oregano, whatever. Just makes it super convenient here in this little setup. So I'm going to go through some of the pros, cons. I'm actually going to be reseeding these as well. These were the original actually, and I picked up some new refill packs off Amazon. These can actually be purchased for, I think I paid $15 off one of the sellers there. And I also bought some miscellaneous seeds. This here was a 15 pack, contains basil, parsley, all different kinds of herbs. Again, you can get these from any typical garden shop, Home Depot, Lowe's, wherever. So, all right. So, first thing we're gonna do is open this up. I'm gonna take a look. I actually haven't seen these before, so that's pretty cool. So it looks like some sort of material, spongy material, probably some sort of synthetic coconut coir or something. So I'm gonna go ahead, open these up. I'll need 6. All right. I'm just gonna go ahead and add these in here. Seems a little looser than the ones you get from the store, the original ones, but probably because they'll expand as well once they're sitting in the water. These will swell up a little bit. So, okay, but took one extra out. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and look at this, see which herbs we'll be planting today. Again, this was a 15 pack of different seeds. So this is not the original first time that I'm potting this up. As I mentioned, or may not have mentioned in previous videos, I bought this back on a Black Friday sale, and I actually had all kinds of basil and some other herbs planted in there. Anyway, long story short, lesson learned. It seems like basil is obviously, it does really well in here, but it may not be the best thing to plant up, especially overplanting with basil. In my case, I actually had Thai basil and regular basil planted in here, and this thing just grew out like insane. So much so that it cut off some of the other herbs from growing. So we're going to hold off on the basil. I think in this case, I'm going to go with sage, oregano, some fresh thyme. Again, I'm going to hold off on the basil. There's actually 2 types here, Genovese and Thai basil. Both very good. We'll do some parsley, chives. Yeah, let's see. Will we go with chives? Definitely want to do dill. I think I'm going to hold off on the chives. And I'm going to hold off on the lavender. So let's see. Yeah, this is a good combination. So I'm going to go with the sage, parsley, dill, cilantro, oregano, and thyme. Okay, this should be pretty good breakdown of some different herbs that I like to cook with fairly regularly. So I'm going to go ahead, open this up. I'm just going to go like this to hopefully separate the seeds out towards the bottom. Wow, these are small. Extremely small. Probably can't even see it on camera there. They look like a bunch of little black dots. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put these into one of the seeds here, the capsules. One thing is, I hope that they stay in there because they're very, very small. So I'm not sure how well they're going to propagate in here. But it's worth a shot. Okay. So that is one. And let's be strategic about this. So this is the oregano. I think the oregano I'll put in the front here. All right. Next one we'll go with is dill. I think the dill and the sage I'm going to put towards the back. Seems to make a little more sense here, especially because they look like they tend to grow a little bit taller. So we'll go ahead. These seeds are a little bigger. I've read online most people recommend just a couple seeds. I'm actually going to do probably more like 6 or 7, maybe a few more, just to make sure, because I don't know what may float out of here or may not take. Again, you could use tweezers. Probably a good recommendation to use tweezers on here. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put the dill in the back here. And by the way, one of the features of this, you can actually raise this. In the back here, there's a little button. So I'm just going to keep it raised for now. It makes it a little easier to work in here. All right, next we're going to go with some thyme. Rip this open. Wow. Again, very small seeds. So, thyme, I'm going to put thyme in the middle. Maybe on this side. All right, now my sage, I'm going to make sure it goes all the way in the back. Sage looks like it'll actually grow a little higher, at least based on the picture anyway. I haven't actually ever grown sage, but I'm going to give it a shot here. So we'll go ahead and put some of these seeds in, and luckily these seem kind of big, so I'm going to use these a little more sparingly. So this is the sage. And by the way, good thing to do, so you can make a note of it later. When you buy the stock kit, it already has labels here that are labeled the type of herb that it is. In my case, since these are refillables, I had to peel off this top part here. So I'm not going to have a layout of what's what. So I want to lay these out on the table as far as the orientation of how I put these in. So we said thyme was here. Let's see, oregano. Sorry, oregano was in the front, then the dill. And I'm basically, I'll take this layout and just kind of either take a picture or write it on a piece of paper just so I have my reference. Once everything grows out, I'll be able to tell what it is, but obviously until that happens. Okay. Next one we'll go with is parsley. Again, fairly small seeds. Just clump some together. Lay them in. We'll go ahead and put the parsley in the front here. And final one is cilantro. Some people don't like cilantro. Again, this is just my choice of what I want to put in here. You can feel free to do whatever you want, add whatever you want. you don't like the taste of cilantro, by all means, don't bother putting that in there. And I think we have one runaway seed here. All right, perfect. Put that in the top. Okay. So now, by the way, these kind of snap in. There's like a little clip there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift this off. And I'll actually hold this up real quick. If you actually look in there, it's a little hard to see, but there is actually, there's a little pump in here that circulates like a reservoir. And that'll actually help keep everything nice and clean as far as keeping the water filtered a bit. It'll also allow, when you put the fertilizer in, it'll keep it well mixed, keeps it a little more oxygenated, which is important in hydroponics. And there's some indicator lights here. So I'll go ahead and show you that in a second once we plug this in. But we have add plant food, add water, light on off. So we'll go ahead and we'll add the water. Regular old tap water is fine. Okay. Go ahead and add some fertilizer. Bear with me here. Okay. I'm going to go ahead. I think it says 1 capful, 1 or 2 capfuls per fill up. I'm going to go ahead and add that there. Another one in. This will just help promote new lush growth. Get these growing out well. Come over here, pour all the water in. Not sure how much water this holds. I want to say it holds maybe 3/4 of a gallon, maybe half gallon. Okay, finish filling it up. A little bit more. So it looks like it takes about 10 cups. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and push these down a little bit. Okay. And last but not least, we will go ahead and add these little covers. Now these act like a little greenhouse container just to kind of keep the moisture in as these get going. Okay. And again, just make sure these are pushed all the way in. All right, there you have it. Okay, so now final move is going to be to gently move this into place wherever you want to put it. For me, I'm going to leave it right here. And I'm actually going to make sure that this is lowered all the way down. And I'm also going to hit the light on. Okay. That's pretty much it. You can see here the indicator lights add plant food, add water, all those are lit up. This does actually alert you when the plant food is required. I think it's got a 2-week reminder, roughly. Um, Honestly, I kind of ignore that one. I typically just follow the add water. This will be fine probably for at least a week or two. Once the plants start to grow, you're going to see a lot of roots in there, and they're going to absorb a lot of the water. And then this thing is going to be flashing probably like every 5 days. And at that point, you'll have to go in and just refill it. I'm going to go ahead and put the cover on, and that's pretty much it. So let's talk about the pros and cons of this. So pros are, makes it super easy to have a good location where you can pick herbs readily available when you're in your kitchen. You want to go ahead and cook, everything's right here. Another pro is it stays clean, no soil, so that's great too. What else on here? Pretty much you could use any fertilizer you want as well, so it's pretty generic as far as the supplies that you can use, seeds, the seed pod holders, as well as the food. Like I said, you can use a generic food. Cons. Not too many. I think that the biggest thing that I didn't like about this is once the herbs get high, especially basil tends to go up about this high, you can't raise this thing above a certain level. I'll actually show you again. This is like the max height. So my basil, especially the Thai basil, easily started growing here, and then I had to kind of bend it out. Another con would be that some of these are fairly close to each other. So if you tend to want to grow basil with some of the other herbs that don't grow as high, these can kind of get choked out. And what I found was, because I had put the basil in the front here, some of the other herbs like mint and stuff like that in the back, it just wasn't going to thrive. You know, grew a little bit, and then once the basil took over, that was it. So those would be the two bad things that I found. Now, I know a lot of people have probably tried similar units. There's a lot of companies out there now that make different types of units. I've seen either some other YouTubers with some more sophisticated ones where you can actually control the timing exactly as far as how much light, and you can control other parameters on it. This is a little more basic. One other downside I'll mention that I didn't like was the fact that the light duration, the first time when you set this up, you're going to have to, and I believe I actually have to do it, you have to hold this button in till it resets. It'll flash after 5 seconds, and it basically tells it that it's a completely new garden. Let's go ahead and try it, see if I can get this to work. There you go. Okay, so it flashed. So that should tell it to completely reset the system. Now, I'm going to have to do this tomorrow in the morning. As I mentioned, you can't set the duration of the time for this to stay on and go off. I think it's automatically a 16-hour cycle. Something in the manual mentioned that it does kind of, I don't know if there must be some sort of photoelectric sensor that tells it if it's getting enough light from outside window sources, or it's utilizing completely just the supplemental light. So it's supposed to slightly adjust itself, but since I can't tell this one to go on, I'm going to have to manually set it at the start time, which is typically around 6 a.m., maybe even 5:30 a.m., and then it should run until about 8 o'clock at night or so. So that's the one downside. I wish this was maybe some sort of, a little clock on here that you could set it, but it is what it is. But overall, I was very impressed with the results the first round. I'm going to go ahead and take pictures. I'll update some of the YouTube videos as the progress of this thing develops into a full, robust herb garden. Was very pleased with it. The reason that I decided to go this approach of using my own pods that I purchased off Amazon was I just feel like if you catch them on sale, you can get them for about $7 for a 6-pack of the seeds with the pods and everything all new. If you don't catch a sale, they want as much as $12 or $13 for 6 pods, which I guess if you look at the overall, $2 a pod for the amount of basil that you could get would be probably equivalent to, $10 in a store or more, it's not a bad deal. But again, why should I pay, you know, $10 for 6 pods when I can just spend, you know, $20 or $30, get all the parts I need, and have enough for 50 or more pods? So pretty self-explanatory. But yeah, so we'll go ahead and, like I said, I'll update progress on this as we go along. Today is January 15th. So I expect to see something probably by the end of this month. We'll start to see little sprouts. You'll start seeing a lot of more growth probably the first or second week in February. A lot of this stuff should start growing out. So, all right, everybody, thank you for watching, and please comment below, ask questions, whatever you want. Feel free to share your own experiences with one of these, whether it's AeroGarden or some sort of other brand. And by the way, I'm in no way sponsored by them. I just thought it was a cool product to review. So, all right, that's it. Thanks, everybody.